Good evening and welcome to Fumar Takes. This is our 277th take live from the Alec Bradley Lone Star studio of Azle, Texas. I'm your host, Barry Duplessis, as always, and I'm so proud, so pleased, and so privileged to be with you all tonight. This is going to be a fantastic show. It's freezing ass motherfucking cold here in Texas, but I don't care. The show must go on, and I am so excited to have this guest on. What an incredible year this has been for this individual, but I don't want to do any spoilers. We're going to talk about this man's amazing journey into the cigar industry, and I'm so excited to sit down with him, and I'm so privileged that he actually agreed to be on tonight. So, before we get to formal introductions of our amazing guest of honor, we do have to thank the people that make this show possible. That, of course, is our sponsor. Tonight's show is sponsored by Drew Estate. Drew Estate is done it once again, debuting the Liga Privada Unico Porchetto, a culinary-inspired cigar exclusively for Casa de Monte Cristo. In an unparalleled mashup of culinary artistry and cigar craftsmanship, Drew Estate proudly introduces the Liga Privada Unico Porchetto. Drawing inspiration from the original traditional Italian roasted pork dish known for its rich layers of savory seasonings, this cigar is meticulously crafted to evoke the similar complexity in its flavor profile. Liga Privada Porchetta is exclusively available at the distinguished Casa de Monte Cristo brick and mortar locations. Jonathan Drew, founder and president of Drew Estate, expressing his excitement about this new global office, from the new global offices of Drew Estate, proclaims Porchetta is an meaty, in-your-face, turbulent journey of flavor and aroma. It's hard-hitting yet smooth and meat-loving calculation at the very same time. Kind of like a Larry Holmes jam out to the dome. It's not meant to knock you out, but damn, that was the thing about Holmes in his heyday. He could literally knock you out with a couple of jabs. Nobody got knocked out. Nobody should get knocked out with a jab, really. But the Porchetta is like a miniature Larry Holmes. My dad was a huge Larry Holmes fan, for the record, says Jonathan Drew. I still haven't gotten used to reading this. I love reading this. I hope that Jonathan Drew does more metaphors using boxing figures or just anything in general, because he's fantastic, just like his cigar. So go to Casa de Monte Cristo and check out the Liga Privada Unico Porchetto today. And welcome, everybody. This is our 277th take. So without further ado, let's get to introductions of our guest of honor tonight, sponsored by United Cigar. Smoke one today. Start living united. Mr. Frank Cossio III of Foreign Affair and Luciano Cigars. Frank, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm incredibly grateful, and it's something I've been looking forward to.
Fantastic. So, a busy day for you. Golf, family, a lot of good times. Not freezing ass cold for you up there. I mean, but apparently there is a cold front going through Florida too. What's the chilly temperatures you've been dealing with?
I think today wasn't so bad. It's about 70 degrees, but it's been in the 50s for the last couple of weeks.
50 degrees, man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're from up north. I mean, were you born and raised in Jersey?
I was, yeah.
Okay. So, like, what's it been like, man? How long have you been in Florida these days?
I've been in Florida for almost 20 years. Went to college down here when I was 18 and fell in love with this area, fell in love with the weather, and didn't look back.
Yeah. I guess not. So is your body like acclimated to so the 50 degrees, was the 50 degrees like freezing cold for you?
Oh yeah. I became so soft down here in Florida. That winter blood is out of my system. I don't play golf if it's below 60 degrees.
Oh, wow.
In New Jersey, I'd play in the 40s. So.
Yeah, I remember. I grew up in El Paso, Texas, which is definitely not known for its cold weather either. But I remember, man, playing in 50-degree weather was like amazing, because it sure beat like playing in like 100 degrees and stuff like that. So, well, that's awesome. So, we're gonna get to golf here in a second. I wanted to talk a little bit more in depth about that, but like, we're going to touch on another point here that I kind of stumbled upon too when I was doing some research for this tonight's show here, Frank. But do you have any other hidden talents other than golf, cigars? Because it seemed like every time that you and I've talked, just a few times that we've spoken or anything like that, I kept like doing like research for tonight's show. It was like everything just kept like, I was like, wow, that's a really cool surprise. Oh, wow, that's a really cool thing. So I'm just like wondering if there's any hidden talents that
I wouldn't say any major talents. I have some hobbies. I like to surf. I like to play poker. and I grew up near Atlantic City, so the golf course that I was an instructor at, I would barter golf lessons for poker lessons with all the poker pros that were members of the course. So
Oh, okay.
I'm
Well,
pretty
there
good
you
at
go.
that. Yeah.
There you go. Poker lessons. So who were some of the people you got poker lessons from?
I wouldn't say any major household names, but Anthony Hill was probably my main guy, that a good friend of mine and a guy that gave me lessons mainly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, what games do you like to play? Are you mainly Hold'em player or like what
Yeah,
else do you like to
Texas
play?
Hold'em, occasionally Omaha, but I like Texas Hold'em the most.
I love Omaha. I played a lot of it in college.
It's
Um,
fun. Yeah.
such a fun game. Did you ever play I got really good at Raz. That was kind of my hidden game back in college, the college days.
You
Did
know,
you ever
I tried it online once and it confused me, so I'm not good at res at
It's
all.
a frustrating game because you're literally trying to lose. So like inherently it's like the worst. It's like goes against everything that you've ever wanted to do. It's the most
Yeah.
confusing thing ever. So
Yeah.
because
Looks
like
pretty
it'd be like it's kind of like golf. You want the lowest score possible, but it would be like going out and playing golf and like I want to take as many strokes as possible. That's how you would describe Raz to everybody. Is
okay.
like you're literally trying to do the opposite of what is inherently instilled in you, and
Yeah.
that's how you get away with things. So that's how it's a fun game, but it can be super frustrating. Uh,
Yeah.
mostly because most people playing don't absolutely know have any idea what they're doing and stuff. But the but I digress. Did you ever play like in any major tournaments? Did you ever like try any
Um,
World Series events or anything like that?
a
Or
long time ago, yeah, I played some World Poker Tour events. Never got too far. I won a couple local tournaments in Atlantic City at the Brigada, but nothing big. I was more of a cash game player.
well, that's super cool. Never got too
Yeah.
far. So you never cashed or
I've I've never cashed in a major event.
okay,
Yeah.
that's really cool. Yeah, I never cashed in a major event either, but I played some satellite events back in the day too.
Yeah.
So maybe if we were on the same side of the country, we might run into each other. It sounds like around the same time.
Probably.
Do you still play? Do you still play at all? Or
I haven't played in a while. Occasionally, if we get a rainy day or something, and get the day free, I'll go down there and play poker.
when did you pick up surfing? How long has that been a thing for you?
So I grew up in a little island near Atlantic City called Brigantine in New Jersey, and it was a little surf town, and picked it up when I was maybe 13. I'm not very good at all, but something I enjoy. I don't do it as often as I used to, but definitely love it.
I find that's kind of funny that you picked it up when you were in Jersey, and now that you're in Florida, you
Yeah.
don't get to do it as often.
Yeah.
The Atlantic Ocean surfing or Gulf of Mexico surfing just has to be different. Like I feel like I don't see a lot of it in the Gulf. I'm here in Texas, so I mean I see it on the opposite side of the Gulf, obviously, than where you probably spend some time. Um, but I feel like it's a lot bigger of a deal, like further south, like in the Caribbean or on the
Yeah,
Pacific side. Is surfing really
definitely.
big in Florida, or am I just completely making that up?
In northern Florida, it's big. My area, not so much.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into this. I mean, we've kind of already touched on some hidden stuff and everything here, but I wanted to take a deep dive into everything. But before we do that, I wanted to light up one of these amazing cigars that you got me, Frank. So thanks to you and Sean for making this happen. So I've got the Foreign Affair Toro Extra here, which is a 6.5 by 52 from Luciano Cigars, and yourself. We're gonna talk a little bit more about this cigar here in a little bit, but are you smoking tonight?
I have one, but I'm indoors. Outside, I don't have good lighting or anything, so
Oh,
figured take the night off from smoking a cigar.
oh man, I feel bad. Now I feel bad. This is terrible. But thank you so much for
No.
getting these cigars for me. I'm super excited. I've had so full confession. I've had your cigar before. I have not had this Vitola, so I'm super looking forward to it. What is your preferred Vitola? I know you like them all, but
Yeah.
what size is
Well, that
your
one
favorite?
is the size that we actually blended that cigar with. That was the original size. And I really enjoy the Corona and the Bellicoso.
Okay. What made you decide go with the Bellicoso? I have a question behind this in a little bit, but I'll go ahead. I was going to ask this later, but I want to go ahead and hit on it now since you mentioned it.
Just a fun size and shape, something a little different for our line, and just we like that size. That's all. Nothing special behind it.
The reason I ask, it's more of a personal beef with it, Frank. So we started probably smoking around the same time, maybe not. So I've been smoking since I was 18 as well. Did you start when you were 18, or when did you start?
Well, my first cigar was when I was 13, but I didn't really start smoking cigars until, yeah, 17, 18 years old.
Okay, we're gonna come back to that 13-year-old comment here. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna let that slide here. We're gonna come back to that because that's pretty cool. There's got to be a story there. But so we started smoking around the same time. But man, when I first started smoking, man, like torpedoes were all over the place. Bellicosos, Figurados, they were all over the place. Like everyone wanted one. It was like the 60 gauge is today. Like everyone had to have a 60. Today, everyone had to have a torpedo. And I found like, I mean, what I realized later on in my smoking is like the people just didn't know how to make them. But back then it was super frustrating. Like, how can anyone really enjoy these? I didn't like any of them, but they were super cool, and so you always wanted to buy it. And I just really, so I have like this personal vendetta against torpedoes, and it's really unfair because obviously cigar making's gotten a lot better in
Yeah.
the last 20 years, um, and the torpedoes also become a lot less popular. I feel like.
Yeah,
Uh,
I would agree with that.
So I thought that was interesting that you guys decided to do that size and everything. I have had the Bellicoso, and it is really good, and I really like the way that the kind of went through. We're going to talk about the Corona a little bit more as well, as you could probably imagine. Uh, but let's go ahead and get into tonight's major point, which of course is bringing this all together. And tonight's major point is brought to you by the people. Yes, cigar people, the people who know everything about a lifetime of service. Protocol Cigars is more than just pool parties and good times. Well, maybe it is. But behind the fun is a fun for motivation for service, a motivation for giving back. From the original Protocol Blue to the latest release in the Lawman series, Phoebe Cousins, Protocol has always been about honor, passion, and yes, the people. It's what their life's work has been and always will be about. Power of the P Protocol Cigars. All right, Frank. Well, let's get into it. 13
Yeah.
years old, huh? 13 years old. There's got to
13.
be a story. There's got to be a story.
There is. So we took a family vacation down to Miami when I was 13 to my uncle's house. And my father, he's Cuban and Italian, so all the guys in my family smoked. We were in my uncle's backyard. They were smoking a cigar, and my dad said, "Why don't you have a cigar, Frank?" And I thought it was a trick question. As a young kid, I didn't want to get in trouble, and I said no. And he said, "Frank, it's not a trick." He's like, "I'll let you smoke cigars as long as you don't smoke cigarettes." And I thought that was pretty cool at a young age, and it worked. I never smoked a cigarette in my life, and um, fell in love with cigars, and brought me to where I am now.
I bet that's the smartest deal in the world. I honestly too have never smoked a cigarette either.
Yeah.
And my dad smoked cigarettes. He did not make that deal with me. Um, but it was something I kind of made that deal within myself. So I've actually never smoked a cigarette, but I've obviously smoked many cigars. But
Yeah.
I can't tell you what it was around the same age too. Like I've regaled the story a few times on this show, but um I honestly can't tell you the source of it, but for whatever reason, it was around that age, 10, 11, 12 years old, where I was like, I want to smoke a cigar. I have no desire to smoke a cigarette. I was pretty straight edge. I did not drink underage, didn't, didn't do anything like that. Didn't do anything crazy, but I was like, I want to smoke a cigar. So the day I turned 18, I smoked my first cigar. So that was,
There you go. Yeah.
and then it was off to the races and everything. So
Yeah. Yeah, our other partner, Mike Denals, Mike the Greek, as people know him. His father on our high school graduation night, he gave us two cohibas to smoke. We drove around Atlantic City after our graduation and smoked cigars in his car. It was pretty cool. It's something I'll never forget,
That's
Celebrating with a
cool.
Cuban cigar when you're 18, good memory.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man, gosh, that's cool. Driving around Atlantic City. I mean, growing up in Atlantic City, was it like? I mean, yeah, it had to like not have like the, I guess the allure of it'd be like someone who grew up in Vegas, right? Like it's totally different if you grow up there.
Yeah.
But I mean, did it ever feel? Did it ever kind of feel special? Or did it just seem like it was, hey, this is where I grew up. This is what Atlantic City is, and I'm just a part of it.
It felt a little special when we became of age to gamble. I guess it was something new for us, something we've looked forward to at a young age, but it wore off pretty fast after a few months in just our hometown.
We're off pretty fast. What was one of your hobbies again, Frank? Playing poker, right? And I you probably have never waged a bet on a golf course. I mean, that just seems kind of foreign too, right?
Yeah, never.
That's awesome. No, but I man, I've always wanted. I've never been to Atlantic City. Never been to Atlantic City. I really enjoy Vegas for what it is. It's
Yeah, I
it's
do.
it's a nice town to visit. I feel like I don't know if I'd ever want to live there. Mostly because that's too hot. I imagine Atlantic City gets too cold. So I guess it's just the extremes of whatever you want to do. But um, what so when did golf come into the mix? Have you always played golf? Is that like who?
I picked it up around 13, 14 years old. Um, my grandparents lived on a golf course, and some of my friends played golf, and they invited me to play. No one in my family played golf, so I had no one introducing me to the game in my family.
Oh,
So my
interesting.
friends took me along, and I loved it. I fell in love instantly. I played every other sport, and they all took a back seat to golf. I was instantly hooked.
What was it? What was it about? Did you hit the perfect shot, or like what
I
was it?
did, yeah. But it's just the constant challenge. There's always something to learn. You could always get better. And it's such a challenging sport, frustrating sport. It gets everyone hooked once they start playing. And I was a pretty good baseball player, but um, I fell in love with it. I wanted to get a college scholarship, which I did, and my dream was to play on the PGA Tour. I played semi-pro golf, but I didn't make it to the PGA Tour.
As a player, which we'll talk about here in a second.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay. Um, I have to say though, Frank Cossio is definitely a baseball name. Like you could, like that just sounds like a real bit. Like that just sounds like a baseball name. Like yeah, Frank Cossio went 3 for 4 today, 2 home runs. Yeah, just it just sounds like a baseball name.
I think
How far did you get? Did you play in high school or
for baseball,
yeah for baseball?
yeah, I played my first year in high school, and then I had to make a decision because golf and baseball were the same season. So
Right.
immediately dropped baseball and focused on golf.
Okay. Any high school accomplishments in golf? Did you like win a state championship or anything like that? Or
We did. My junior year, our team won the state championship,
oh wow,
which is pretty
okay,
cool. Yeah.
okay. How'd you play in the state championship just as an individual?
I didn't play well that tournament. I played well that season, but not in the final tournament, which was a
Okay.
little disappointing, but it was a good team accomplishment, so I was happy.
Yeah, one of the best golfers I played with in high school. He won a state championship his freshman year. I was significantly younger than him, so I didn't get to play with him much in high school. But he carried. It's very similar. It's a very funny story. He carried the team the entire season as a freshman. Got to the state championship and almost cost the team the state championship because he played so poorly. And poorly
Yeah,
by a certain standard, but like for most
yeah,
people, they were like, "Oh my gosh, that would be like the dream come true round, or tournament that he played in." Like it was but for him it was really disappointing, and that was always sad for me. To because I think that if he had had a chance, because they never got back to the state championship, but I think if they had if he had any regrets, it was that, and he played semi-pro too, and then just didn't have the shot. It's hard. Golf's hard.
It's tough, yeah, very difficult.
It's tough. So, um, so you did make it to the PGA Tour
As a kid.
as a caddy.
Yeah.
So how did that? Okay, well, obviously there's a natural connection there. Like you love golf, so why not? But how does one become a caddy? Like this is something I've always wanted to ask, and now I have you in front of me, so now I can. So
Yeah, usually you just have to know someone that's either playing or a friend of a friend. I got lucky while trying to play professionally. I met a lot of people, and Brad Faxon was a member at a golf course that I was working at here in Palm Beach Gardens. And I told him I was finished playing. Another dream of mine was to be a caddy on the tour. And if you knew anyone looking for a caddy, and immediately he vouched for me. He called Tom Pernice Jr. on the Champions Tour, and that was my first full-time job. It was a lot different than playing. You know, there's a lot of things that I didn't know went into caddying on tour. And from there on, like once you're out there, you're out there. You get to meet everyone, you interact with all the other players. And after Tom Pernice Jr., I went to Vijay Singh, who was one of my childhood favorites. And it was a great experience out there, you know.
He had one of the weirdest career arcs.
Yeah.
Because I remember him being good when I was younger.
Yep.
And then it kind of went away, like most people did during the Tiger era. But then he had this resurgence where all of a sudden he was competing against Tiger again.
Yeah, he took him down. I think he took #1 spot in Tiger's prime. He was the only player to do that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Were you okay? This is, I mean, I apologize. I'm not trying to be ignorant here. How long were you his caddy for?
For VJ, 1 season, 1 full season.
Okay.
I had our daughter. We had our daughter in the middle of the season. I felt like I owed VJ. I told him I'd work the whole season. I made sure I finished that deal. But once I had my daughter, I knew I was done caddying. I didn't want to be on tour away from my daughter. I was on the road constantly, 3 to 4 weeks at a time. Come home for a week and then go back on the road for 3 or 4 weeks. It was a tough lifestyle. Once I had a family.
Shoot, man, that's worse than being a cigar rep. I mean,
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And that's year round. I mean, it's dang near year round, isn't it?
Nowadays, yeah, year round. Yeah.
It's nuts. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. How did he do that season?
You know, we didn't have any wins, but we had a handful of top tens. We should have won a couple tournaments, but golf is tough, as you know. So it would have been cool to get a win. But we were close. Top tens, pretty good accomplishment.
Okay. What's the so did you ever go did you go international? Did you ever go to like did he play in the Open that year, or like the British Open?
He played in the Masters that year. But with Tom Pernice, I went to Japan, I went to England, and when I was playing myself, I played in Portugal, Germany, Peru, and Canada.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I've been lucky. Golf's taken me around the world, which has been
That's cool.
An awesome experience. Yeah.
Yeah, the hat that I'm wearing tonight is from Scotland. Obviously, you
Yeah,
might be
I
able to
noticed
read it.
that.
Yeah, so I went this earlier this year and got to walk on St. Andrews, the old course, man. That was quite a moment for me. Really, really enjoyed that. Smoked a cigar on the infamous bridge too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be the American rebel. I thought I was like, oh, I'm going to totally light up a fucking cigar on this thing. Like someone's going to make me chuck it. Like I don't even care. Like I'm just going to light it up and get a picture and that's it. Nobody cared.
Yeah.
There were some marshals on there, just like they're chiefing away on some cigarettes, and they're like, oh, that's cool. Cute American wants to light up a cigar, but yeah, it was kind of fun. But man, what a I mean, you could feel You could feel how hallowed the ground was. It was so crazy. Have you ever been? Have you ever been? Have you ever?
Not to Scotland. From what I hear, the soil is pretty much the same in England, but it's on my bucket list. I want to go to St. Andrews so bad. A lot of history there. It'd be cool to play.
It was really funny. It was really interesting. I could have swore when I was this is kind of funny because this is even before I knew you played golf. So I had a chance to watch. There was some amateur championship going on that week, and they were having it was a practice round. It wasn't even part of the actual tournament. But I watched a couple of guys play a couple holes and stuff, and it's really funny when I first met you. This year's trade show was obviously after my visit to Scotland and everything. I swear to God, you were the doppelganger of this one player that I'd watched for a few holes, and he had a heck of an 18th, man. Like that last hole, he
Yeah.
man he missed he hit. I mean, he hit pin high, which the pin was in a really challenging spot at the front of the green, and it rolled all the way to the back. I guess he just didn't have any backspin on it at all, or the green was just running that fast. But he made up for it, man, because he hit that snake of a putt. It was like it must have been a 45-foot putt, if not more, man. I mean, it was just sick.
Yeah.
And he just drained it right in the back of the jar, man. It was just nuts. I couldn't
I
believe
love
it. I was like, wow, holy
Yeah,
cow.
that's not come by too often.
Yeah. So, um, what's the what's the best round you've ever shot
Shot
anywhere?
64 a handful of times. Just haven't been able to shoot below that. I finished with
64,
a
man.
double. Yeah, I shot 64 with a double one time um, on the last hole, but it's
Double bogey or double eagle?
double bogey on the last
Okay.
hole. It's like I have a mental block.
Oh, damn, dude.
64.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, that's heartbreaking. Oh shit.
That's all right.
Oh, oh man,
How about you?
was that in a
You
tournament?
not in a tournament? No, I think my lowest tournament round was 66 or 67. Never went low in a tournament.
No, my lowest round would be embarrassing for you, Frank. We're not going to talk about that. My no, the lowest round I ever shot was a 72.
That's
So
good. That's
yeah,
really good.
it was for me it was like it was a 59. So I mean it was like it was how the people. I mean I never thought I would ever get that low, but I mean I was pretty good for a while. Um, I got down to a two, uh, and two. It was more like fringe three, but but no, I don't play very often anymore. I can go out. I can still go out and shoot about an 85 without,
It's still good.
you know,
And two handicap,
it's
it's really good.
yeah, and that's fun. Like you can like if you're shooting an 85 and you're just going out there a couple of times a year or whatever and everything like that. It's golf is still fun at that point. You're like I get a couple birdies around or
Yeah.
have a string of pars and stuff, and it's fun. That's how you know. But man, some challenge. Brad Faxon was one of my favorite golfers as a kid.
Mine too. I told him that. He didn't believe me, but he was one of
Oh
mine too.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I used to watch him all the time. My dad watched golf incessantly. At the time, it was a mind-numbing bore, but I got to know the players, got to know the stories and stuff, and it was
Yeah.
just. And then, of
The
course, when
Faxon's one of the nicest guys you could ever meet.
that's
He's
cool.
awesome.
How many seasons did you do with him?
Well, Faxon, I didn't caddy. I only caddied one event with Faxon, just one event.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Faxon's the one that got me out there.
okay,
Yeah.
nice. Cool. Um. All right, so we talked about your lowest round was just 64 a few times. Could never get
Yeah.
over the 64. Uh, what was where was your favorite place you shot a 64?
Um, where I grew up, the course I grew up playing, Brigantine in Little
Okay,
Island. It's where I first started playing golf. My first round of golf was there, and pretty cool to shoot that score there. That was the first time I shot 64, actually.
nice.
Yeah,
Okay, cool, good stuff. What about the greatest round you've ever caddied?
the Masters with VJ Singh. That was the coolest week of my life. It's my first time on the property. the nerves, like it's something you can't explain to someone. Like I could barely feel my hands on the first tee box. Nerves are major, and I wasn't even playing. I was just a caddy, but it was cool. It was
And that was for VJ, right?
yeah,
Oh man.
yeah, that was awesome.
He puts his hand out for a club, you're shaking the whole time, just
Yeah,
like, hey, I'm the one supposed to be nervous, Frank. Come on, give me the
yeah.
give me the club.
It
Oh man.
was a cool experience. It was awesome.
So I mean, are you still I mean, obviously when you work for someone like that, I mean, do you have would you consider yourself friends with VJ? Like
Yeah,
friends with
we
some of
still
these
keep in
guys?
touch. I don't
Oh, that's
talk to them
cool.
every week, but maybe once every couple months here and there.
That's cool.
Yeah,
So Brad Faxon's a good guy.
awesome
So
guy.
what's a couple of other all-time good guys here? Now I'm just nerding out on this because this is like stuff from my childhood too, like watching
Uh,
golf with my dad.
everyone's awesome out there. I love like all the old timers, which were cool to me, like Ernie Els, awesome guy, John Daly, amazing guy, Tom Pernice Jr. All those guys are awesome, and even the young guys like Ricky Fowler, Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, all cool guys, very down to earth, which I like.
Brooks seems like he could be a really cool dude, but he also seems like he could be a real prick.
Yeah, you know
Like,
when I first met him years ago when I was younger, I wasn't the biggest fan of his, but he's changed. He's matured a lot. He's awesome. He's an awesome guy. Very cool guy to be around. Very funny.
since it was your dream to always play on the PGA and then you actually got to live it as a caddy, what I mean, what's your whole stance on the whole live golf and
I
versus
think it's
PGA
good.
to like
I,
debate?
I
What do you
think
think?
I think competition's good. I think right now it's kind of like in a gray area. Um, they have to figure it out. I think they extended the agreement to March to figure out the deal, what they're going to do, if they're going to merge or not. Um, it's I always think competition is good. It makes people strive to be the best. But I think it's good, and the money out there is just it's insane on the live tour. It's hard to pass up. The players got a lot of criticism for going over there at first, but I think more and more people are getting used to the idea, and it's hard to blame them.
Yeah. I yeah, my gosh, I'm so conflicted on it too, personally. First of all, I don't understand why there has to be a conflict. That's probably my biggest beef with the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like why does there have to be a this or that? Why can't it just exist and everything? But
I hope
yeah.
they find a way to coexist and merge somehow. Be good for the fans and the game.
Yeah. And the best players get to play in some of the best tournaments, it just
Yeah,
makes sense and stuff. Yeah. So you mentioned Ernie Els. We're gonna talk a little bit about more Els for autism before, and because I asked you this, and I know because you actually had, I think the day I talked to you, one of the days I was talking to you about getting ready for the show, you were actually shooting around with Marvin Shankin of Cigar Aficionado, which will come up later on as well.
yeah,
And that's when I asked you, like, so you've actually played the infamous Els for Autism golf tournament, right?
yeah. Last year I did.
Okay.
Just a cool experience. Got to play with Dave Savona and Marvin and Darren Clark, who I love. He's an awesome guy.
Man, he's an OG too, man. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Then that's
He's
been
a
a
lot
that's
of
been a
fun.
fast. Say it again. I'm sorry, Frank.
No, he's a lot of fun to be with. He likes a good drink and cigars and full of jokes, full of stories. He's one of my favorite people out there.
So did Darren Clark smoke a foreign affair? Did that happen?
No, it wasn't in existence yet when we played together, but it
Okay.
was in the talks. So
Okay.
yeah. Actually, I
Nice.
haven't seen him since that day. So
What did
next
you what
time,
what'd you smoke that day with him?
um, I smoked a lot of cigars. Fiat Lux. I had about three of them. What a cigar. Oh, and the Dreamer.
I love that cigar. Oh
Me
God,
too.
man,
They're both so good.
God, the Dreamer's so good. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of my favorites. I love
Yeah.
the Traveler too was really good. They were like that.
Yeah.
I really love the job that Luciano did on this blends, man. Man, those are some good stuff. The Tiago Blue is probably its original iteration too, and obviously the blend hasn't changed. But God, that cigar is still one of my all-time favorites that he made with the
Yeah.
Ometepe tobacco and made it a lighter, more mild, mellowed cigar. Man, I don't, oh, freaking, freaking genius, man. It's
Yeah, he
great
is a
stuff.
genius. He's amazing.
It's great stuff. We're gonna get into his blending and your partnership with him on this for cigar in particular. And I'm sorry I let this go out. We've just been talking about golf, which I'm sure Coop is really excited about because my partner on Cigar Coop Primetime Special Edition loves golf. Say
Okay.
that with all I say that with a lot of obnoxiousness. He's not a golf guy. But especially televised golf. That's like his like kryptonite. He hates it so much, and it's really kind of funny. I grew up watching it, man. I grew up watching it with my dad. You know, my dad played with some of the like some OG guys, like super OG guys. Like he played several rounds with Lee Trevino back in the
That's
day.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, my dad has some Lee Trevino stories. Oh my gosh.
He's one of my favorite swings of all time.
Oh my gosh. He's probably my all-time favorite golfer. Which is so crazy because he was on the senior tour by the time I was a kid. And so I
Yep.
I got to see like a shadow of his greatness, I suppose.
Yeah.
Which but man, got to meet him, which was just oh god, just awesome. I mean, he's such a character, man. He's such a funny guy. Have you had a chance to meet him?
I've never met him. I want
Oh,
to, but I've never met
oh
him.
god, he's so fucking funny, man. He is
Yeah.
he still hasn't lost his sense of humor. It's just so funny. The guy I always wanted to meet was Chichi Rodriguez. That guy's a character too.
Yeah.
So, and I always wanted to meet Greg Norman. Did you ever have a chance to meet him?
I've met Greg Norman, not Chi Chi, but I've met Greg Norman. Yeah.
Yeah, Greg was like my favorite younger guy back when I was growing up watching and stuff. And he was like my favorite. Uh love Fred Couples, love Brett Faxon.
Yeah.
A lot of good guys, a lot of good people, a lot of good golfers. And now they're old. We're getting
It's
old,
crazy.
Frank. This
I know
sucks.
we are
This
getting old.
sucks. This
It's
just
crazy.
sucks.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, wanted to dive into. I mean, the reason we're here, and I'm smoking this, man, and the Toro Extra is really smoking nice, cool smoke. The flavor's on point, real nice earthiness. Got a little bit of a stuffy nose, but I'm still enjoying this cigar here. This is your first cigar partnered with Luciano, made
And Mike.
Retless, and
Yeah.
Michael.
Yeah.
And you've got the Foreign Affair by Luciano Cigars, and I'm really enjoying the size. This is really good. I've had the Bellicosa, as I mentioned before, had the Corona, which we'll talk more about and everything. So okay, so golf's out,
Yep.
daughter's born. I can't caddy anymore, so naturally I go to the cigar industry, or what? What would tell us a little bit about how all that happened?
So Michael and I, like it was always our dream to have a brand together. We actually launched the brand when we were in college at a young age, and we failed miserably, made a lot of mistakes, but we never let that dream die. COVID hit. Mike was the general manager of Soho Cigar Bar in New York City. When COVID hit, bar shut down, and Mike didn't know what to do. Luckily, he knew Luciano. Luciano and Tiago Splitter would always come into the bar, and they got friendly with Mike. And Mike went down when the bar shut down to Nicaragua to stay with Luciano and learn, study the whole industry inside and out. And Mike kind of pitched it to me. He said, "Would you like to do a cigar line again?" And I said, "Absolutely." He told me all about Luciano, and we went down there, spent some time with Luciano, and that's how Foreign Affair was born.
That's awesome. Let's go. I want to go back. We got to touch on this. So you guys
Yeah,
launched it. It failed. So like what
miserable.
did it even get off the ground? Did you even have cigars in boxes? I mean, like where
We
did
had
it where did
boxes.
where did it stumble? Where did it go?
We had boxes. I forget the exact amount that we had made at first, but we didn't have a distribution channel. We just we didn't do a good job. We were young, and I'm glad we did it because I learned a lot. But I realized how hard it is to break into the cigar industry and how hard it was. That was my first. I wasn't a sales rep. I was trying to sell our cigars, but I learned a little bit about sales and how difficult it could be. We didn't have any advertising, and no one took us serious at that young of an age.
I mean, it's a hard job, man, but it's
Yeah,
great when you know good people and you know the right people and you can
yeah.
get stuff made and stuff. It's fan. It can be really fantastic as we're going to talk about here. So okay, so who made the cigar? Who made it? Was it called Foreign Affair? Was it something else or
No, we came up with the name.
no? The first iteration. The I'm still on the failure, Frank. I'm sorry. I'm all
Oh,
about
I'm
the
so
journey here.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
I'm
sorry.
all about the journey here. Sorry.
Okay, okay. Oh,
So
the cigar was called Tres Reyes. It was three of us,
okay.
three best friends from high school, and we there was two blends. There was a medium bodied blend. They were made in Dominican Republic, and then there was a flavored blend. Embarrassed to say, but it
Why,
didn't last.
man? Why? They're the gateway cigar. Everyone
Yeah,
starts off with the flavored cigar.
yeah, but it didn't last too long, and but we didn't give up the dream.
Yeah, that's great. That's
Yeah,
great. What was that first cigar when you were 13? Do you even remember?
it was a Cohiba. I don't remember which one it was, but I remember seeing the label and I remember hearing the name. I was too young to really know much
Okay.
about cigars.
Okay. What was
Yeah,
okay? So sorry, I'm bouncing around back to the flavored cigar that you created. What flavor was it?
it's called red wine and honey.
Red wine and honey.
Yeah, had
Okay.
like a honey tip and wasn't very good. Wasn't up to Luciano's standards.
What so what made you go with that flavor pal? You just like we wanted a flavored cigar and this sounded good. It went as different. I mean, it definitely sounds different than anything I've ever heard on the market. So I mean, bravo for creativity. I mean,
Eh,
let's not totally shit on this. I mean, it's kind of
no, something the guy that made our cigars, he pitched it and we ran with it. That's how it came about.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Where were they manufactured? You said in the DR. Where were they manufactured at?
In the DR. I don't want to mention the guy's name, but
Okay. No
yeah,
problem. Sorry about that.
great guy. I just don't want to. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Well, sorry that didn't work out, but that I
yeah,
guess it's all part of the process and everything. So okay, so COVID hits
yeah.
and now so you're back to it. What did that feel like initially? I mean, did you feel like, okay, here we go again, or like, no, now we've got it figured out because we know what we messed up on the first time, or like what were the kind of your personal feelings about it when you kind of dove back into it?
I went down there very humble, um, and excited to learn from Luciano. I've heard so many good things about Luciano, and I fell in love with his cigars. And Mike has told me how much he learned while he was down there. I think he stayed there for a year or two prior to this happening. I just went down there humble, eager to learn from Luciano, who, in my opinion, is one of the best out there. And um, I'm not a know-it-all. I'm not a arrogant guy. Just I don't think you could ever stop learning. So that's the attitude I took and wanted to make a good product. And Luciano led the way and did a great job.
Man, I can't imagine what that was like. Oh, I've spent I've spent some time with Luciano, and I've actually spent an evening with him where we were just talking about tobacco, and that was a God, that was a it's really hard to put into words, but it was basically like a master class in
Yeah,
tobacco rolled into a semester, composited into one night.
yeah,
It was just so, I mean, it was such an incredible experience for me personally, just because it was um because I love nerding out on tobacco. I normally don't do it on this show very much, just because I like to talk to people and about their stories and stuff like that.
yeah.
But that was such a fun evening, and so I can't imagine. You said you were how long were you down there initially for that first trip?
First trip, a couple weeks, and then went down
Oh
there
my
again.
God, Gee,
Yeah,
bet your
yeah.
brain was like fried by the end of that. Holy cow!
But the first few days, yeah, but I was wide-eyed. I think Luciano's amazing, and as you know, you learn so much every time you're around him. And I'm glad I was introduced to Luciano.
What? So how did the because brand ownership is goes into like I feel like it goes into a couple of different avenues, and I think that one I really like that you give him a lot of credit too, Frank. There's a lot of brand owners out there like I blended this cigar. And that's fine. They can do that. That's there's no shame on that. And there are brand owners that do blending. And I'm not saying you didn't have a hand in the blend or Mike didn't have a hand in the blend. I'm sure y'all did, and we'll get to that in just a second. Um, but there's also people who rely on you know masters like Luciano who understand tobacco and everything like that. Um what I really like about Luciano's blending is that he seems to really kind of grasp polarizing tobaccos and somehow not neutralizes the wrong word, but somehow make it part of the blend without making it part of the blend. So like the Maria Lucia, which was my number 2 cigar of the year this past year, you probably
One
saw
of my
that.
favorite pairs. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Love that cigar from the second I smoked it. It was unbelievable. It has Peruvian tobacco, which I love Peruvian tobacco by itself. I love that floral kind of citrus tone that it gives.
Yeah.
It, it's there in the Maria Lucia, but it's like it's not a dominant profile at all. And it's
Yeah.
very subtle in the way that he blends with it. He uses Ometepe tobacco really well. In fact, I remember him saying he gets mad when people like talk about how polarizing Ometepe tobacco is. He's like they're using it wrong, and but this cigar here, the X factor in this one for me, or the one that catches your eye too, is the Costa Rican tobacco that's used in it.
Yeah.
Um, so he kind of has. I really like how he does this. He takes like an X factor tobacco and uses it to make a blend. But so how did you guys? So walk me through the process that you, him, and Mike did to create Foreign Affair because I'm really interested in hearing about that.
So before we started blending, I got a crash course on how Luciano viewed growing tobacco, rolling tobacco. I got Luciano's crash course, the way he did things, the way he likes things, which I loved. Mike had a head start. He was there for a year or two before me. So he learned a tremendous amount from Luciano. But we discussed a vision for the cigar and where like an idea of where we wanted to go with it. And honestly, Luciano led the way with the blending. We were definitely there testing it with him, but Luciano was the leader in the blending process.
What did you have something in mind that you wanted? Did you like go in so like yeah, he led the way and he obviously put all the blend together, but or like did you go in and thinking like I want a medium bodied cigar or I want this particular tobacco or anything like that? Or were you kind of just like open book, like let's see what happens? Or like what was your kind of approach personally as you kind of went into this master class of learning a little bit?
A little open-minded, but we did want to create a cigar that could be enjoyed by everyone. The name Foreign Affair, how it brings people together, foreign people together. So we wanted a cigar that can be enjoyed by everyone. Some people like strength, some people like sweetness. You can get a little bit of everything in that cigar, and it can be enjoyed by people with experienced palates or people that are just beginning and getting into cigars. So it sits right there in the middle, which I'm happy with for our first line.
Okay. Well, you said it right there, Frank. That's going to be the next question, right? So, like your first line. So this isn't a one and done experience for you. You want to continue this journey.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cigars are my passion, Mike's passion, obviously Luciano's. Um, we don't have a set plan as of now, but we briefly spoke about it last time we were together. So,
Awesome.
yeah,
So this is because this is a lot more fresh for you probably, and it's always interesting to ask this question for people who've been in the industry for a really long time. Where was the first cigar shop? Because I know you know this. Where was the first cigar shop that you walked into and saw your cigar on the shelf the first time?
it was Industrial Cigar Co. in Frisco, Texas. I went down there to caddy.
Everything's better in the state. There we go.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
I love Texas. I love that area. But I was caddying in the senior PGA championship in June for Paul Goidos. He called me. His caddy was injured, and I stayed in Frisco for a whole week. And I kept hearing about Industrial Cigar Co., how great they are. And I went there, and I was completely humbled. I went in there, saw the whole Luciano section, and Foreign Affair was sold out. There was only three cigars out of the four different Vitolas. And they were apologizing to me for not having the cigars on the shelf, but I was excited. It means people liked it, you know. So I didn't buy one. I didn't want to take it from customers, but they ordered a new batch and got shipped in while I was still there a few days later, and it was a cool experience. Something I'll never forget.
That's
Have you
even
been?
cool. No, that's it. Yes, I've been to Industrial. Great shop, man. Great people. The Franks
Yeah,
family are fantastic. I love those
yeah,
guys.
absolutely.
Um, that's such a different experience than anything. I've asked this question a few times, and I don't think the number of cigars has ever been brought up. But man, that had to have been. First of all, it's just cool to see your stuff, like you
Yeah,
said, and then the fact to see like, oh, people have been smoking this. That's fantastic. Oh man.
it was an amazing feeling. Yeah, it was
Oh
cool.
man. That's so cool. That's so cool. Oh man. What a
But
ride.
it's thanks to Luciano. Luciano has created a reputation for himself, creating great cigars, surrounding himself with great people on his team, and it's thanks to him. You know, this wouldn't be possible without Luciano.
So you're obviously not the you and Mike are not the only partners in some of these other cigars that he's been bringing to market over the last year with the formation of Luciano Cigars. Of course, his own fantastic blends that we
Yeah,
talked about, the Murillo Chia, the revamped Tiago blends,
yeah,
his lines, just like the Dreamer and stuff, fantastic. Uh, you actually got me on the cigar this past summer, the Delay, which
yeah.
was
Amazing. Yeah,
that's a fantastic blend. That smokes really well. I really enjoy that. I confess I still haven't had the Istanbul with the
yes,
Turkish tobacco, and
great cigar as well.
I really need to just light that puppy up. I've been waiting for him like a time to like enjoy. I have one, and I've been waiting for a time to enjoy it because I've always wanted to do it on a fresh palate and just really kind of
Yeah,
sit back and. But I've gotten more of those delights. They're fantastic.
and the Y
Um,
Pandas too. I've been smoking them a lot lately. Amazing
yeah,
cigars.
I saw you post about that too. And that's made a couple of lists too, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, what do you like about that blend? Because I heard you talk about the Delay.
For
Uh,
Luciano, it's a little different from his profile. It's most of his cigars are medium plus, and that's the first cigar. It's a little bit below a medium, or just a little bit below. It's just a different uh profile from his line of cigars, which is cool, you know.
I thought, oh,
Yeah,
I enjoyed it too. The Delay's probably is probably the one that I've really enjoyed the most, and that was thanks to you for recommending it to me. I do enjoy the Foreign Affair. Enjoying this Toro Extra. I really am. I confess I like the Corona the best probably, and we're gonna talk about the Corona more here in just a second. Um, but uh, but yeah, it's what was it about? What was something you said you learned so much? So I'm really putting you on the spot here, Frank, and I
it's
apologize
fun.
for it. But what was like one of the things that like caught you off guard? What was one thing that really stuck out during this whole learning process? You're like, wow, that's gonna stick with me. That's really interesting, or that's different. I never would have thought of that. Or I'm sure there were a number of times you experienced that during the whole thing. But like, what's something that comes to mind?
Like, in the way that he bunches the cigars, rolls the cigars, it's different than most factories do it.
Okay,
Um, Also, the fermentation process is a little different than other companies. He he's not he's not about a quick buck, you know. He wants to make high quality cigars, and the fermentation process is proof of that. The way he has his cigar rollers roll the cigars, proof of that. And then on top of that, before the cigars leave the factory, there's a certain standard that every cigar has to have. He has a jaw master to make sure the jaw is good in every cigar. So he really cares about quality, you know.
hmm Yeah, the Maria Lucia is probably one of been the truest burns that I've ever had on a cigar.
Yeah.
I remember taking one of those for a walk one day, and I was 2 miles into the walk, and like I don't know, I'm like quarter or so way into the cigar, and I'm walking, right? So I'm walking. It's not a windy day. I think it would have been different if it was windy, but man, I was walking. I wasn't doing anything in particular to take great care of the cigar. I was just enjoying it, and that ash was still holding like
Yeah.
nobody's business. I mean, it was just
Exactly.
crazy. One of the truest burns I've ever. And to say nothing, at least it's a box press too, which is interesting.
Yeah.
That it holds that really well. The was there I know again I know you relied on him as far as the blending, but was there any decision making process into like, oh, this is going to be a Parejo as opposed to a box press as far as the foreign affairs concerned?
We wanted to go traditional sizes. I know with the label, we wanted to go traditional Cuban branding and kind of followed suit with sizes. So nothing we might have a box press in the future, but nothing we wanted to do in the beginning.
Okay. Do you prefer Parejos over box press in general, or
No, I don't really have a preference. I like to smoke air. I'll smoke anything, any size, anything,
what? So how did the design of the label come into play? Like, okay, so we talked about the blending and Luciano's genius behind the tobacco there.
Yeah.
But what about the actual branding of it? You mentioned the name and why you and Mike chose it
Yeah.
in the
So
beginning, but
the
like,
leaf in the middle is more of like representing tobacco and how tobacco or cigars bring people together. We have a little globe in the background
hmm, there you
for
go.
the
I didn't
foreign
notice
fair,
those.
yeah, and little airplanes. And then we have like the ribbons, the classic Cuban branding ribbons, and red, black, and gold. Pretty cool. It's like traditional meets modern cigars, cigar branding.
It's funny, I didn't even notice the airplanes or the globe until you mentioned something.
Yeah,
It does have a classic look. I think that's what really kind of gravitates you towards it a little bit.
yeah,
Uh, and it's simplistic. It's not overly done. It's not cartoonish. And it's not like trying to be hip or anything like that. I think it's got a very classic look, which is nice.
yeah.
Uh, Reminiscent of a lot of brands that you see. Uh, a lot of more classic looking brands that you see, I should say. All right, I got to ask you about the red because I used to work in retail, Frank. So one of my
Hmm.
favorite retail questions as a retailer is when a customer walks into the humidor and be like, "Hey, do you remember what I smoked last time?" And funnily enough, I have a great memory, and I usually could do that. Or, but my favorite question at all was like, "Hey, so I had this cigar one time. It had a red label." I'm like, well, that's cool. That annihilates about 50% of the humidor. Let's see what we can do with the other 50 that we got in here. So it's a classic color. I'm not knocking you, man. I'm not giving you a hard time about it. But what made you decide on the classic red for your cigar label?
I have a Cuban background, and I thought it'd be pretty cool. Just most traditional Cuban cigars had a red label. It
Sure.
also stands out on the shelves, so there wasn't too much thought behind it, but there was definitely some thought behind the color.
I do like the black and red together, man. It's like I said, it's classic, but it's also very distinct. It is the black and red is I think is a very distinct. I don't think you see that combinate oddly enough. I don't think you see that combination too often. So it definitely could stand out for sure. And it stands out against the obviously the brown background of the cigar too, which is nice.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Well, cool. Well, we're going to talk more about foreign affair here in just a little bit because this cigar of yours had an amazing year in addition to coming to market. So we're going to talk more about that here in a second. But we're going to take a quick break with one of our sponsored segments. And that, of course, is the United Cigar presidential trivia segment. Don't worry, it's multiple choice, but I am going to be asking you a presidential trivia question here in a second, Frank. So, as always, this segment is brought to you by United Cigars, featuring La Giana Havana, distributors of Jose Dominguez, Bandolero, Garofalo, the Firecracker, and the highly acclaimed Atabey, Byron, and now Alfonso lines from Selected Tobacco. Smoke one today and start living united. Now, Frank, I understand that your name is short for Francisco, and there are no Francisco presidents. unfortunately. But there is a Franklin. There's a Franklin Pierce, of course. And Franklin Pierce was, of course, the president of the United States. He also served in the Mexican-American War. A lot of people don't know that. And in 1852, when he actually won the presidential election, he defeated his old commander from the Mexican-American War.
Wow.
So who was his old commander? Was it A, Zachary Taylor? Remember, Franklin Pierce beat this person. So there's your hint. Okay. Was it A, Zachary Taylor, B, Winfield Scott, C, Jeb Stuart, or D, Paul Frederick Foster?
I don't even know. This will be a blind guess.
That's fine. A lot of people do, Frank. No shame here. This is my segment, man. I nerd out on presidential trivia, so I stump a lot of people, man. No shame at all. And that's why I make it multiple choice. It's fun.
I'll go with D because I forget the names already.
Paul Frederick Foster. Paul Frederick Foster was actually a Medal of Honor recipient during the Mexican American War. He was a Navy ensign, but he was not the Whig or the Whig presidential nominee. So Franklin Pierce was a Democrat. He won the presidential election in 1852, and he beat his former commanding general, which was Winfield Scott. So B was actually the correct answer. So, but what's I mean, did you ever play golf in any of the DC surrounding golf courses or anything like that?
Unfortunately, no, I haven't.
Okay.
I played in Maryland and Virginia, but nothing close to DC.
Not a golf.
Yeah.
Some great cigar shops in DC. Have you been to any events or is
That's
Foreign
what I hear.
Affair?
I haven't yet, but I want to. I've heard a
Okay.
lot of good things about that area.
Okay. Any your cigar in any of the shops there?
I think one of our sales reps are working on that area pretty soon in the near future.
How many stores is Foreign Affair in?
Um, I would have to go into my emails for the exact number, but in a few hundred.
It's pretty great. How long has it been on the market again?
We launched at the TPE in late February.
So less than a year, 100 stores. So we're going to talk about another accolade here in just a second. It's a pretty amazing year. It's a pretty amazing year. What just going back to the presidential trivia segment for just a second and everything.
Yeah.
Man, there's a really good opportunity with this name of the cigar and like getting into like pushing it into some politics, man. I mean, you could team up with PCA and have Foreign Affairs sponsor some of these congressional meetings. Just saying it. Just giving you ideas, Frank. They're free.
Yeah.
You can take them and run with them if you want. But if is there you mentioned that you're Cuban background. So is Cossio Cuban or is it Italian?
Italian.
Okay.
My father's father was born in Italy. My grandfather was born in Italy, and he moved to Cuba for business. And that's where he met my grandmother.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And you're obviously you're Frank the third. So is there a fourth? I know you've got kids.
I only have a daughter, so not a fourth.
Okay.
Maybe one day.
Maybe in the future.
Yeah.
How old's your daughter now?
She's almost 2.5.
Oh man, it's great age. I have a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old, man. They're two boys. So they're rowdy and rambunctious, man. I'm sure you're and I'm sure your 2-year-old daughter is mature than both my boys. They tend to mature faster. So
yeah, it's been fun. It's a fun age for sure. I'm enjoying every minute of it.
I was gonna say, you enjoy being a dad?
I do. I love it.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad I mean, for a number of reasons. Obviously, we're smoking your cigar and we're having a great conversation tonight. Because of her, you deciding to walk away from golf.
Yeah.
Would you consider, before your daughter was born, would you consider golf your number one love in life?
Yeah. Cigars are right up there too, though.
What a decision to walk away from that, man.
Every time I played golf, I had a cigar in my mouth.
I know. I went through some of the pictures or trying to create tonight's ad and everything. So I saw a lot of golf pictures and everything. You with the cigar mouth, man. I love smoking. I love smoking a cigar in a lot of places. The golf course is also one of them too. I mean, it's just It's so relaxing. A round of golf is just it is can be relaxing, especially if you don't take it too serious. I know you had to for so long,
Yeah.
um, but it's just one of those things. Um, Now, with your connection with like L's for Autism and stuff, a lot of famous politicians and even former presidents have played in that tournament and everything. Have you played with any famous politicians at all, or
I've caddied for Rush Limbaugh. I've caddied for Brett Baer, uh,
okay,
Obama, um, Giuliani. I used to compete with Giuliani's son, Andrew Giuliani, um,
okay,
most of my life actually. Became
oh
good friends with
wow,
him. Yeah,
okay, okay, yeah, I saw a picture of you and Giuliani once. So that's
yeah,
so you competed against his son.
yeah.
Okay.
We're about the same age. At a high school level, we competed against each other, and then at a semi-pro level, we competed against each other. So
Oh
we
wow.
knew each other for a long time and developed a good relationship.
Who came out on
Actually,
top?
I hosted an event in Brigantine, my hometown near Atlantic City, and he won the tournament.
Oh, okay. Who's the
Yeah,
better golfer though?
he is. He accomplished a little
Okay.
bit more than I did. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. You're an honest man, Frank. I appreciate that. Could have talked some smack, but you didn't. All right. Well, that we went a little off course, but that was our presidential trivia segment, which is always brought to you by United Cigars, featuring La Giana Havana, distributors of Jose Dominguez, Brandolero, Garofalo, and the highly acclaimed Atabay and Byron line. Now, and of course, and now Alfonso line as well from Selected Tobacco. Smoke one today and start living united. Now, we've mentioned the infamous tournament a couple of times tonight, Frank, but the L's for Autism Foundation is the charity that I wanted to kind of spotlight tonight, just because of your connection to it and everything. Uh, have, Now you've played in the tournament once. You said last year was the first time
Yeah,
you played it, but have you caddied for it as well? Did I
I
misremember
have
that too?
in the
Okay,
past. Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
What? Um, Give us an idea of what that Cigar Aficionado does a great job of publicizing it and making it a big deal, and we know all the sorts of celebrities that are brought in. So a lot of great money goes to a great cause,
Yeah.
um, for it as well. I mean, what's that like? What's that experience like? What's the actual tournament like? Like with the I guess the vibe, if you will, of the tournament. What's that experience like?
It's a little competitive, but everyone knows they're there for a good cause.
Okay,
And it's fun. The guys, especially the celebrities, they're a little bit more laid back and open, and it is a pro-am, so um, it's a treat for the amateurs to be around these celebrities and get to know them at a personal level. And um, it's a fun, laid back, but slightly competitive vibe. It's cool. And the cigars, everyone's smoking cigars at the event, so it's fun. It's a fun event.
did you?
One year,
Yeah, go
Ricky
ahead,
Fowler.
please.
So at the end of the tournament, they always have a hole-in-one contest, and if a player gets a hole-in-one, $1 million gets donated to Else for Autism. And Ricky Fowler, there's 18 pros or 19 pros, and Ricky Fowler was the last one to hit one year, and he actually got a hole-in-one, and $1 million got donated to Else for Autism, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Um, You mentioned you caddied for Rush Limbaugh. Was that at this tournament or was it at a different one?
At that tournament, and I actually caddied for him quite a bit in the past,
Okay.
but at the tournament as well.
Well, since you've done it multiple times with him, I mean, what's he like on the golf course?
He was a good golfer. Very nice guy. Um, loved golf, loved cigars. Bless you. Um, but yeah, he was great. He was great to be around. Um, you don't see a lot of good guys in that tournament and on the golf course as well. You're right.
Yeah, I sneezed so hard my headset came off. That was kind of embarrassing. But luckily I muted so I didn't blow your eardrum out or our audience as well. So uh like I was telling you earlier off air before I started the show, I had this incredible, insane allergy attack earlier today. Just ridiculous. My right eye's been watering like you know, can't even think of a funny metaphor because it's just bothering me so much. But thank you so much for bearing, all pun intended. Thanks so much for bearing with me tonight on this. But for our audience as well. But man, but that's I think it's I find it just I know we keep going back to your point as being a caddy in the world of golf and stuff, but I mean it's taken you so many places and it's got you to meet such incredible people. Um, you said Obama too. You had the chance to caddy for him.
Yeah, a few times.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, do these guys chat you up at all? Like, or is it all golf the whole time? Like, do you guys ever like on the course? I guess. I mean, you and VJ, you said developed a friendship and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But like,
Yeah, I wouldn't consider myself friends with these guys, but yeah, they definitely um my experience has been great with almost everyone. Everyone has tried to get to know me at a personal level and very open, and I've had some good conversations with everyone that I've caddied before. Every big celebrity or politician.
let's see what. So going back to the tournament itself, there else for autism. So playing it versus caddying in it. What other than the obvious? I mean, what was different about that experience for you?
I felt a little nervous, the year I played in it, I was with Marvin and Dave Savona, so there was a lot of cameras around taking pictures, especially on the first hole. Um, and then I was playing with Darren Clark, so there was a little pressure, but I enjoyed playing more. It was
What
fun.
how'd you shoot?
The front nine I played incredibly well. I made 7 birdies. The back nine I
Jeez.
didn't play as well. Um, but our team won. Marvin didn't want to take the title, so he took us out of the competition. But we had the best score as a team.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah,
So you won, you just didn't win.
yeah.
Gosh,
It
Marvin has to ruin it.
Marvin,
He has to ruin everything.
yeah, it was cool. That was a fun experience.
That's
We had a
awesome.
lot of laughs of the Darren Clark, so it was good.
That's great, man. That's
Yeah,
really great. We have a few more fun segments to go over, but I do want to touch on some of the greatness we were talking about. Marvin Shenkin, Cigar Aficionado. We got to talk about, I mean, the elephant in the room, man. I mean, congratulations. You guys launch in February. Get a review by Cigar Aficionado, which is not as easy as people think.
yeah.
Get an incredible favor review. I think because they did a vertical tasting, right,
We
of
did.
every
Cigars
foreign
there.
affair, yeah, and they all
Yeah,
scored really well.
yeah.
They all scored
We're,
incredibly well.
we're happy.
And so every cigar maker's dream, man, whether they want to admit it or not. I always joke with Juan Cancela Protocol Cigars. He always says that he would be more excited about being my number one cigar of the year than being on number 25 on Cigar Aficionado. I always call bullshit on that, but he always insists that that's true. And I'm humbled by that, but still, every cigar maker's dream is to get on it, and you hit it. So the
Yeah.
Foreign Affair Corona, the 5 and 5/8 by 42, hit number
Yep.
19 on the top 25 this year.
Yeah, it was incredible. And yeah, honestly, thanks has to the whole team, our sales reps that are out there, getting the name out there, doing events every day. They did a great job spreading the word and getting us into stores because you can't get rated unless you're in a certain amount of stores in Cigar Aficionado. So
Right.
the sales team is incredible. Everyone on Luciano Cigars has been awesome.
Like you, like we've talked a lot about tonight. A lot of cigars he makes are fantastic. Uh he's also had some of his own personal lines too have gotten some favorable rankings. So like
Yeah.
when you obviously saw the scores, I mean, do you know how the top 25 works about the minimum score to get in and things like that before it kind of goes into a tasting tournament? Are you familiar with the concept?
Somewhat,
Yeah.
somewhat.
So when you saw that your cigar was probably eligible, I mean any inkling that you thought that this could be it, that you get a chance, or like was this just an absolute just shocker to you?
Absolute surprise. I didn't have any expectations. It was our first year. Um, I believed in Luciano because he's done it before with the Dreamer. But I didn't have any expectations. It was a complete surprise. I was shocked, pinching myself to be top 25 in Cigar Aficionado. And like I said, it's all thanks to Mike Luciano and and the whole team at Luciano Cigars. Pretty cool
I,
though.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty awesome. And to say nothing of the fact it was the Corona, because typically they don't like Coronas very much. And
Yeah.
so the fact that it was probably the size that I wouldn't have guessed. Uh, but it was a real, I mean, frankly, with all respect, Frank, it was a real surprise to me too, just because you guys haven't been on the market very long with it. But I was pleased that they gave it a shot, and I was really excited when you obviously landed it. And I messaged you, and I was really excited to send you congratulations and everything.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome. Oh, we didn't really talk. We talked a little bit about the blend. So there's an Ecuadorian wrapper on the cigar.
Yep.
There's a double binder, Ecuadorian and a Nicaraguan, and then we mentioned the Costa Rican and the filler, but that's mixed with Dominican and Nicaraguan fillers.
Yes.
All undisclosed, so there's no like Esteli or Hilapa or anything like that. And I'm not going to ask you to reveal any of that stuff, uh, but this is like I said, it's a pretty unique blend. They do like Nicaraguan tobacco typically. That usually hits their palates pretty good, but this is far from while it's manufactured in Nicaragua, it's I would say, far from a Nicaraguan cigar, which I think is also a huge kudos to you guys as well, because you guys got on the list with something that's atypical, a Corona, and B, it's not really in their what we call their flavor wheelhouse and everything. But that's fantastic. I mean, so how did you find out? Did you pull up the list online? Did they give you a call? Did Luciano
Um,
call you? Like, how did you first find out? Like, I want to know about this experience.
I was refreshing the website constantly that morning. Every day. I know they reveal like certain amounts every day,
Sure.
and constantly refreshing. I know we got a good rating prior to that. So I once we got the rating, then I said, all right, we have a shot at making the top 25. But yeah, every day I was constantly refreshing. And then I think Luciano messaged the team in a group chat that we have, and it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely exciting. And
Surreal, right? It had to feel
yeah, it
surreal.
really is. It's a magazine I've been reading since I was in high school, and just to be in that magazine, it's been awesome.
I can't imagine what that's like. I mean, that's just got to be that surreal is the word du jour, man. It just has to feel especially for you, like the way you and Mike started off, like, and I'm using your words here, Frank. I'm really not trying to be negative about it, but you tried this. It was a failure, as you mentioned, and then you come back. You put together a great project with Luciano. Gets onto the market. You walk into the first store. It's sold out.
Yeah.
And you see it's just growing and everything. You get the rating, and then you get the number one. You get on the top 20, the number one list, the top 25 list. I mean, I love my own personal top 10, but I mean, let's face it, it's the Oscars. It's the Oscars of cigars, man. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah. I think it energized the team and definitely gives us a lot more motivation going forward. I'm really excited to see what comes out next couple of years. I think the company's heading in the right direction. Luciano Cigars as a whole, and
Right.
I'm excited. I'm really excited.
What did Mike say to you when, like, I mean, you guys obviously talked about, again, he was on this journey with you. You guys had this first foray, it didn't work out, and then you guys team up to do the foreign affair, and what I mean,
Everyone's just ecstatic. It was a childhood dream of ours. We've always talked about it. Um, we were just excited. It was cool.
man, congratulations, man,
Thank
congratulations, sincerely. This is fantastic. Keep letting your cigar go out. I feel like I'm insulting you.
you. You're right.
This is really
And you
enjoying
were one
this.
of the first people to reach out. I thank you for that.
Oh, of course, man. I'm humbled by that. I mean, I really enjoyed meeting you at this year's PCA. I was really I was really charmed by your personality and meeting you, and you I thought it was I had I had no knowledge of you other than Foreign Affair, and I didn't know anything about you at the time. And what particularly, if I may, and I'm not trying to not trying to embarrass you here, but what particularly charmed me about meeting you was, and I think, again, I'm not trying to embarrass you by this, but you were like reluctant. I interviewed you on camera. I think you were really reluctant, which you were fantastic on camera, by the way. Um, but you talked about everybody else's cigar, and it was almost like Foreign Affair was an afterthought. And I thought that was really interesting. Um, because I certainly didn't lead the conversation that way. That was the way that you took it. And I was like, what about Foreign Affair, Frank? Talk to me about that. And it was almost kind of like an afterthought for you, which was really interesting. In a way, and that's what's something that I really enjoyed and stuck with me about our conversation. And of course you got me on the delights, which I thought were fantastic, like I said. So um since I haven't smoked the Istanbul, when should I smoke that? Should I try that in the morning? Should I smoke it later on? Like, I want to smoke it on a fresh palate. Like, what do you think?
I think you can smoke it in the morning on a fresh palate. That'd be great. Cup of coffee.
Okay, nice. Okay, I might do that this week for sure when it warms up because it's still freaking ass cold. So,
I'm really excited for Luciano Cigars. The team, I think, um, I see a bright future for Luciano Cigars. I think Luciano is a genius, with his blending. He has a great mindset. He's surrounded himself with the right people, and that's why I was excited to tell you about all the other brands at the show. You
right.
know, and of course, we're partners with Luciano Cigar, and if Luciano Cigars does well, I do well, and it's a team.
Mhm.
So I'm excited.
It's an interesting cast of characters, man. I will say that. I think that it's been. I think that's one of the observations that I had about it was it just seems like an amalgamation of some really interesting characters. Not, and when I say characters, it doesn't mean like you guys are all kooky or crazy or anything like that, but
No,
just like different walks of life,
different personalities.
different personalities, yeah,
Yeah,
and it's a you guys mesh well, huh? You guys
yeah,
form a pretty good team about it, huh? Okay,
absolutely. Yeah,
that's fantastic. It's great
yeah,
when a mix of personalities can come together like that in a really formidable way.
definitely.
Um, Terrific, terrific. Well, just have some more fun segments to go through, Frank. I've
Yeah.
really appreciated tonight's conversation. I'm really grateful for your time tonight. Again, congratulations. Number 19 cigar of the year on Cigar Aficionado's Top 25. Um, you know, that's just what an incredible accomplishment. Not even a full year into the business, man, and you're hitting the ground running.
Thank
Is there
you.
any nervousness about like, okay, well, okay, so we're 19. Like now we have to do something. Now we have to do an 18 rank cigar or something. Like, do you feel like the pressure's on at all, or you just kind of enjoy it? I know it's all fresh. This is like a couple weeks in now.
Yeah. I don't feel nervous, but definitely hungry. I got a little taste of it, and I want to keep doing it. Keep providing good products out to the market, and I'm definitely hungry and motivated.
Well, you're a competitor, right? So like I have to imagine the competition's pretty
Yeah.
hungry. You're a pretty calm, cool, easy, laid back individual. I wonder what that competitive streak looks like in you, man. I want see what happens and see what comes from that. So that's cool. Well, again, congratulations, man. That's
Thank
fantastic.
you. Thank you.
Well, like I said, we got some fun segments lined up. So this is my
All right.
my kind of my rapid fire. It's been a couple weeks since I've done this, but this is this or that. It's very simple, Frank. I'm going to give you two things. You just pick one. I've got
Okay.
some cigar related stuff, some golf related things, and some random stuff thrown in here. Um, so here we'll start with this one. I think this is an interesting one. Given your two backgrounds in cigar manufacturing and golf, I thought it'd be fun to ask you this question. Would you rather be featured in an article in Cigar Aficionado or Golf Digest?
Cigar aficionado.
Oh, just snap call, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's go to cigars here. Since we mentioned about the Bellicoso, would Bellicoso or Toro
I'd say Toro.
overall? Okay, Toro
Yeah.
overall. Okay.
Yeah.
Medium or full bodied cigar?
Full bodied.
Okay. Interesting, because this is not a full bodied cigar. So what are some of the more full bodied cigars that you've enjoyed in your maybe not maybe prior to Luciano? You're teaming up with Luciano and his because he's not really known for a lot of full bodied
Yeah,
stuff. He makes full flavored stuff, which is different.
yeah,
And I constantly remind my audience of that full flavor does not equal full bodied.
yeah,
Full
yeah.
strength is also a different thing too. We can get into that later, but
LFD, Padron. I smoked a lot of those cigars in the past, and
love LFD.
um,
Oh my god.
yeah,
Wow. La Flor Dominicana is like the reason that I'm here today. Lito Gomez is
yeah,
fantastic. Yeah, that was like the first. I smoked an actual premium cigar my first time. I smoked a Fonseca, and then I smoked a lot of the classic stuff that you know everyone's heard of, like Romeo and Julietos, Macanudos, and things like that. But
yeah,
La Flor was like my first, I guess, boutique at the time
yeah,
cigar that I ever smoked, and I was, of course, it kicked my ass, and I loved it. It was fantastic. Was
yeah,
feeling lightheaded. Is great. I was like, I'm in. This
yeah,
is great. I want to smoke more of these. This is fan. And it was the single layer hero at the time. It was they
yeah.
hadn't
Nothing
even done the
double.
double layer hero. Like I
Yeah.
was still just now I could smoke the single layer hero for breakfast. I mean, it means nothing to me, but um, so that's cool. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Let's turn towards golf. Would you rather hit the perfect approach shot from the fairway or from the tee box?
Fairway.
I've heard a lot of golfers say this. I feel the same way. I'd rather knock one in from the fairway than a par three off the tee box.
Yeah.
I want to hear your answer. I have a very specific answer why.
Well,
Um,
because there's different factors. You have different lies, you have different wind conditions. It's not like on par three, it's a perfect tee box level. From the fairway, you might have an uneven lie or in the woods, so
what's I'm sure you've had a number over in your career. Like what's the coolest from your recollection? What's the coolest slam dunk you've had from the fairway?
um
From the woods, it sounds like there was a story
I've
there
done it
maybe.
from the woods, yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
But nothing super cool. I've come close to like a double eagle from on a par five, but never had one. But I've had a number of cool ones from on par fours.
I had a two on a par five. It was
That's awesome.
yeah. So it's the number nine hole. It used to be Silla Vista Golf Course in El Paso. I think it's called Lone Star now.
Hmm.
It's right by the airport. It's number nine. It's a sweeping dog leg left, man. It's an extreme, and I hit this beautiful draw off the tee box. That landed me in this spot where it was just awesome, except for the fact that I was on a banking slope, so my feet were below when I set up to the ball, and I still have it, and I'm looking right at it. My golf clubs are right just beyond the camera here. I still have this 5 wood that just it's not one of those I, shoot, the name escapes me. It's not one of those hazard clubs. I can't remember what they're called.
Hybrid?
Yeah, it's not like a hybrid, but
Uh-huh.
it always felt like when it was a smaller head, smaller face, great. If I didn't know how to hit that club, I mean, if anyone picked up that club, it'd be really hard to hit. It has no forgiveness whatsoever. I've just always been able to hit it really well. And I took that 5 wood and I freaking hit the dog shit out of it, man. And and yeah, I got up to the line. I was like, where the hell is my ball? And
No,
and it was in the hole. And I was like, holy cow. And there
that's
was
awesome.
there was an old guy. He was and I say old, like this guy was, had like I'm serious. He had a cane with him and he was playing around the golf. Like this is why I love golf too. It's like you can play it at all ages. But he's like, man, I saw that. I stayed here because I wanted to tell you. I wanted to see if you had seen what happened. And so he described what my ball had done. Like I had hit the far right side of the green and it kind of swooped in and then came back and banked itself right into the cup and everything. I was like, holy cow, man. Because
It's
yeah,
cool you had a witness. Yeah.
gosh, that was super cool. But yeah, no, my specific reason why I like knocking one in from the fairway, it's kind of what you were talking to your point. It's so much more challenging. I don't know if you tee up off the if you actually tee the ball up on a par three. A lot of people don't. I always do.
Depends. Depends.
Um, but like you said, it's like the perfect line. It just seems not like cheating, but like you're setting yourself up for success. So like you
Yeah.
know if you're on that day, you should be able to knock one close, if not
Yeah.
in. Um, I've had one hole in one
That's
in my
awesome.
life. That was cool. Have you? How many have you had? Have you had any?
Only two. Yeah.
Two. Okay, so I'm one
Yeah.
behind you. Got to catch up. Um, but you've played a lot more than I have.
I have. Yeah.
It's hard. It's so hard. Like
Yeah. The
golf
odds
is
are
such
not
a hard
in
game.
favor.
No,
It is.
exactly. Golf is such a hard game. All right. So staying on golf. Here we go. Steel or graphite shafts
Graphite for the driver. For the driver.
for the driver.
Yeah.
Yeah, the driver that I have currently is the first graphite I ever owned. I've only had steel shafts. Couldn't afford really nice clubs. My dad always my parents always did what they could best. My irons are still like they're ping knockoffs, but they hit well. But you like steel on irons.
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I don't feel like such a loser now. That's great. That's cool. Everyone always had graphite, man. When I was playing against everyone had graphite shafts, even on their irons and stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I couldn't afford that, like uh cool. All right. Next up. Going off topic here a little bit, but that's cool. Fast boat or a fast car?
Oh, I like both. Fast car.
Fast car. All right. Yeah, I saw you doing a video from this. So this is the next question. Convertible or hard top?
Convertible. Smoke cigars.
Always wanted to own a convertible, man. Never have. Do you own a convertible or are you just driven in few?
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
For
What
cigars.
for cigars, specifically for cigars? Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. What kind of car is it?
It's a Fiat Spider.
Oh, nice.
Well, two-seater. Yeah, we have the family car, the SUV, and then we have that one for my cigars.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
The wife can't get mad, man. I mean, all that you're
Exactly. Yeah.
airing it out the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Definitely.
perfect. So that's perfect.
Smell doesn't linger.
Is it hard? I have to imagine like especially going fast in that kind of cigar. I mean, how does it just make does it just destroy the construction of a cigar? I mean, you're obviously able to
Sometimes.
still enjoy it, but
Yeah. I have to put the windows up while the roof is off. Um, then it burns a little bit better, but when the windows are down, it can be disaster. It can ruin the cigar. Yeah,
then it's just fun and you're just enjoying the ride, literally.
yeah, pretty
That's fun.
much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I like
Uh,
it. I love going fast on boats too, but I have a lot of respect for the water. A lot can go wrong on the street as well, but I have a
sure.
lot of respect for the water.
Back to golf for a second. Tiger or Jack?
Tiger.
Okay. God, he was good. Man,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
He
He
changed the
just
game. He brought a lot
yeah,
of people to the game.
yes, he did. Yes, he did. Just ended his relationship with Nike, man. That's crazy. End of an
Yeah.
era. That's
Yeah.
nuts.
It's crazy. Over 20 years, I think.
Yeah. They stood by him during the all the bad stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have easily walked away from him.
Oh
Easily.
yeah.
Yeah,
That was the only company that stuck by his side.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember when a lot of companies did right by him too, like Titleist even when he was testing out the Nike ball for a while.
Yeah.
They were really cool about it, which was interesting. I mean, he was under contract with Titleist and they were like they wanted the guy to keep winning, and his name was still associated with their brand, so they figured what the hell, right? It didn't even matter. It's crazy.
Biggest name in golf. Yeah. And I still
Yes.
don't think he's done. I think he has a couple more wins in him.
Major wins or just wins?
I think majors. I think he'll win another Masters and possibly another Open.
I'd love to see another Masters. That Masters win a couple years ago,
Yeah. It was
man.
awesome.
God, it was so fucking cool. It was so cool to see that again, man. It was great. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Bourbon or Scotch?
I've been getting into bourbon lately. I've always been a Scotch guy, but uh, bourbon now, I'd say. Even though I
Food?
don't drink bourbon often, I'm more of a tequila guy.
Yeah, I'm a tequila guy. Oh, that makes me happy, Frank. Thank you so much for saying that. That's awesome. Beautiful. What's your favorite Scotch though?
Lagavulin.
Good stuff. That's good. And what about tequila now that you mentioned it?
There's a few. Sincoro, Michael Jordan's brand. Um, I drink that a lot, and then like Ocho and G4. They don't have any additives in it. It's pure.
Mm.
Um, Fortaleza, 1942, right behind me.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Okay. Have you ever had Coralejo?
I have not.
I need to get you a bottle. It's fucking amazing. It's my favorite. The label looks like nothing. You're like, it kind of just looks like, okay.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. It's really good. I really enjoy that tequila. It's fantastic.
You know, I played, we've had a lot of rain. The day I was supposed to play with Marvin, we didn't play. We played yesterday. And Adam Levine's younger brother played with us.
Okay.
And he just said Adam Levine just launched a tequila brand. I can't remember the name of it, but they're aged in wine barrels, which is
Interesting.
like the Blanco has like a pinkish tint to it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I want to
Okay.
try that.
I'm in. Yeah. I'd be down to try that for
Yeah.
sure.
I like good tequila. Like tequila, there's a lot of good tequila. I remember in college I had a couple bad experiences, but and I took a break from tequila, but now it's mostly what I drink now.
It's probably because you drank bad tequila, Frank. Don't blame it on
Exactly.
tequila.
Uh, well, then,
Blame it on poor choices, not tequila.
actually, when we
Uh,
went to Nicaragua, we brought a bottle down of Michael Jordan's tequila to Luciano in Nicaragua.
nice,
We drank that all
nice,
week. Yeah.
sweet. All right, some food choices to wrap up the this or that segment. So we've got a root beer float or a banana split.
Banana split.
Lay's or Pringles potato chips.
God, Pringles are addicting, but I'd say Lay's.
Okay, interesting. Because you said so Pringles are addicting, but you would
Yeah.
rather go with Lay's. Why?
I don't know. I guess Lay's has more flavors that I know of, you know?
Okay, it's true. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
A lot more flavors. Do you
Yeah,
like more? Do you like any of the spicy chips, or do you like just to
I
stay
do.
with more?
I love
Okay,
like the jalapeno and barbecue.
oh, good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, fantastic. That was this or that, our rapid fire segment, which would leads perfectly. The last couple of questions leads perfectly into our everybody eats segment, sponsored by Pastano Cigars. If you always make sure that your servant's towel is bigger than your appetite, everybody will always get theirs. Pastano Cigars is more than just great cigars made by cool people. They embody an attitude of gratitude and grit. With Pastania, everybody eats. So, Frank, there's a three variations of the question, so I always just kind of randomize it and pick one. So we'll go with this one. What is your favorite food or dish that you love that you wouldn't have tried if you hadn't been offered or forced to eat it by somebody else?
Um, Probably caviar.
Okay. All right. I love caviar.
Yeah.
So wouldn't have tried it unless. So what are the circumstances? What's the story behind caviar? Who made you eat it? Or
A friend of mine, he at the Masters actually when I was with BJ, he had a private chef come to his Airbnb and cooked Wagyu steaks and caviar. I never had caviar and he told me to eat it and try it and without knowing how expensive it was, I think I ate about $2,500 worth. But
holy shit.
good. Yeah. I didn't know.
It's good. It's
Yeah.
so
It was
good.
good.
Oh man. I could put caviar on anything. It's
Yeah,
so
it was pretty good.
so good. Awesome. Like what was it about it beforehand? Like you just never had the opportunity, or you like did you think it was like gross or something, or like what
Combination
was
of both, a little gross and it really, I just wasn't really exposed to it.
so you got exposed to the good stuff though, because there's cheap caviar that's not very good. And so you
Yeah.
could have gone that route and it probably would not have been as appetizing. I've had bad caviar, but I've had really good caviar too. And it's really good caviar is fantastic.
Yeah. I
Okay.
loved it. I loved it.
Would you so did you have it on the steak or was it on something else or like what
And it was
you
on the side. It wasn't on the steak, but it was a cool show. We had a bunch of vegetables, Wagyu steaks, and caviar on the side.
I'm gonna
Some
say
perfect
caviar
wine.
on some Wagyu steak. Now that's a rich dinner. Holy cow!
Yeah.
uh, Both taste wise and expense wise. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, that was our everybody eats segment brought to you by Pastani Cigars. Uh, if you always make sure that your servant's towel is bigger than your appetite, everybody will always get theirs. Pastani Cigars is more than just great cigars made by cool people. They embody an attitude of gratitude, grit. Pastania, everybody eats. So this next segment is brought to you by Asylum Cigars. Refuge is more than just a physical place. It could be a state of mind. Some of life's greatest reflections can be found in our own personal asylum. Moments like these were made for Asylum Cigars. So light up an asylum and choose your refuge. Now, Frank, this segment specifically is about an individual moment with cigars. Now, you've been around cigars for quite some time. You usually you light up on the golf course quite a bit. You're teamed up with an amazing team at Luciano Cigars. So you're probably more than likely almost always smoking cigars around other people. Most of us are. It's a very community-based pastime. So this is your first time answering this question, so I'm going a little bit more detail of the explanation. I've had several guests who have had the opportunity to answer this a couple of times, but the point of the question is every once in a while we have that opportunity to sit down and smoke a cigar. It's just us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just us by ourselves. And that moment could be a lot of things. Maybe it could be celebrating the birth of your daughter. Maybe it can be, listening to some music. Maybe it could be an anniversary with your wife. I'm giving you, examples, but the answer is your own. What's a moment that you can remember? It can be recent or it can be way back when. It doesn't matter. But it was just you and the cigar. What were you doing? And if you can remember, what was the cigar you were smoking?
Well, I got a unique experience at Industrial Cigar Co. I wasn't alone, but it was a group of people, and they had me try. They do this every Wednesday. I forget what they call it, but you sit in a room in the dark with one of those red lights, and no one's allowed to talk for 2 hours. So I smoked a Foreign Affair, and like you said, I'm always with people when I'm smoking cigars. I'm either representing Foreign Affair, or I'm with golfers at the golf course, or with friends at the cigar lounge. That was the first time I've had 2 hours to myself, period. And with a cigar, it was even better. And gave me a lot of clarity. I got a lot of much needed alone time to think about a lot of things and put things into perspective. And something I should try to do more often, smoke cigars alone, because everyone needs that quiet time to reflect, get some clarity.
Yeah, as much as I enjoy smoking cigars with people, there's the reason I created this segment was specifically that. I think it's one of a cigar's greatest gifts is that it can be its own company sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy it. I enjoy smoking with other people. That's not to say that I don't, not at all. On the contrary, I prefer smoking with people.
Yeah.
But every so often there's that moment that's just really, really fantastic that you get to enjoy by yourself. And it can be anything. It could be, like I said, celebration. It could be anything in particular, which is really, really great about it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It helps me on long drives, keeps you distracted and
Yeah. Yeah. I used to commute quite a bit, in quite a long time. So cigars kept me company in the car and it was great. Really great. I did not have a convertible, so the car did have to air out quite a bit. So, but that was our Asylum moment of refuge, which is brought to you by Asylum Cigars. Refuge is more than just a physical place. It could be a state of mind. Some of life's greatest reflections can be found in our own personal asylum. Moments like these were made for Asylum Cigars. So light up an asylum and choose your refuge. All right. Well, Frank, the time has come. It's our last question of the evening. And of course it is our Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust curveball segment. So fastballs or curveballs, it doesn't matter. Since the company's inception, Steve Saka has been knocking them out of the park. 8 consecutive years of the consensus top 3. Congratulations to our good friend, Mr. Steve Saka, and as he tries for 9 years in a row, which we'll find out here in the next few days when the half wheel consensus comes out. And we see Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust again in the top 3? We shall see if he'll make it 9 years in a row. So, Frank, this last one is a curveball thing. It's a little bit of a fun season, though. So, I wanted to ask this. obviously your foray into golf didn't work out the way that you had dreamed about being a professional golfer. Cigars is getting kicked off in the right direction for you, certainly.
Yeah.
Wanted to reverse this. And I know it's kind of hard to think about it this way. But if your dream had been going into cigars and that had not worked out, and you had stumbled onto golf kind of almost secondary and found the instant success that you found so far, right? It's a journey, right? This is just the beginning, which is really this is really exciting about about what you guys are doing at Luciano Cigars and Foreign Affair. But what do you think would have been, other than the fact that they're two different outcomes and we're reversing history here, what do you think would have been different about the journey, and how do you think it would have changed you personally?
Good question. Golf is a individual sport. Your only teammate is your caddy. You have coaches and everything, but it's just you on that golf course. I've had that in the reverse. I've experienced that individual sport to myself. The cigars have taught me more of teamwork, and I think I'm glad I had this the way I had it in this order, because it taught me enough about life to be my own person, and to go out in events and perform for the brand. But I like being a team player with Luciano Cigars, and I think it's fun. Yeah, you get to celebrate with people. If I won a tournament, I'd only celebrate with myself or loved ones. Now we could celebrate as a team, you know. I I don't know. I hope that answers your question, but
No, it doesn't wait, and I think that's what's really interesting about this, Frank, is that, like you said, it's an golf is an individual sport, and I've heard you. We've been talking for a couple of hours now, and you're even in our initial conversations, we talked about my initial meeting at PCA and our initial conversations, even leading up to this interview, and you've always been very, very quick and very genuine and sincere. I want to add that too, because I think that's important, because I think a lot of people tout the teamwork line and don't necessarily mean it. And I'm not saying, I want to be very clear, I'm not saying that about you. I think it's very apparent that there's a lot of sincerity behind your words about being part of a very great team. Was that hard for you though? I mean, because you came from a background where it was all about you. Yeah, your caddy gave you a club. You had coaches that you listened to, but on the golf course, when the shot mattered, when you had to do it, you had to do it, and there was a lot of pressure on you. And you obviously found some success with it.
yeah.
I don't, making it even semi-pro. I mean, that's shit, man. That's a fucking feat. Let's be honest. So it's very hard, as we've kind of talked about all night. Was that hard for you to be part of a team?
No, I think it's the opposite. I think it's easy. I love it, because like you mentioned the top 25, how was everyone? It was fun celebrating with people, like everyone worked so hard and you get that achievement. It was rewarding for everyone. It's I think it's better to celebrate with people than it is to celebrate alone, you know. Um it was a very easy transition, probably something I, without knowing, wanted.
Interesting. Not not to put too strong a point on it, but do you think I'm making this own connection, just kind of I'm having a little bit of a light bulb moment here, Frank, but you know, you left your dream, your individual dream, to be part of a team. And I'm not talking about Luciano Cigars, I'm talking about your family.
Yeah.
Your motivation for leaving your dream behind was to be part of something together with your wife and child.
Yep.
Do you think that was that? Do you think that's what made it easier?
Yeah, it wasn't a tough decision. I loved caddying on tour. It was a dream. I think if you ask anybody that plays golf if they'd like to caddy on tour, I think 90% would say yeah.
Mhm.
but it was an easy decision. Even though I dreamt about it for a long time, family is everything to me. That's more important than anything in the world.
Was it even a choice? Like, was it even like you know what I'm asking? Like, was it even a choice for you, or was it like your daughter's born and that's it? That's the like there's no other decision. It's
There was like a financial aspect to it. Not every caddy makes great money, but the potential is there, you know.
sure.
And not knowing, I'm lucky. I had some golf courses to fall back on. Like I worked at Michael Jordan's course after caddying on tour, and it's a good fallback plan, but there's a ceiling. You know, caddying on tour, some caddies make millions of dollars. So I think having a guy like VJ Singh on my resume had propelled me in my career as a caddy. But um, to me, yeah, I want to be successful. I want to be financially free, but there's other ways to do it. And I don't have to be on the road all the time. And I could do it, hopefully, being around my family most of the
Yeah.
time.
Was so like is Luciano Cigars and Foreign Affairs, is it a full-time thing for you now, or is it still part-time? Do you have another
It's becoming more full time. I still work at Michael Jordan's golf course. That's hard to let go of too because of the networking aspect, the people I meet every day, the relationships I'm building. Um, uh, but yeah, as Foreign Affair and Luciano Cigars becomes more and more successful, I'm getting a little bit more and more busy with the cigar industry.
top 25 on Cigar Aficionado certainly
Yeah.
doesn't hurt that prospect, so that's good. Uh that's fantastic. What so are you the pro at the course, or like what do you do exactly?
No, just a
Oh,
caddy
okay.
there.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Nice. Yeah, I have to imagine you meet some amazing people. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Um, who's the like what's the most random person you've caddied for on the course? Like not in the tournament, not in a tournament, like a pro am or anything like that.
MJ's course, it's the whole membership is the who's who of the world, and the guests that come, it's celebrities every day. Um, I mean, I've caddied for everyone at his course. Unique, I'd say Kid Rock. Um,
I bet that was a fun experience.
yeah, but it's cool. Like every
Is he
athlete,
really? I imagine he's either really good or he's really terrible. Which one is it?
no, he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right, nice,
yeah.
interesting. I never would have guessed that. That's
But it's
cool.
cool there. You have every athlete you can imagine comes through there, actors, politicians. It's a cool place.
That's interesting. That's cool,
Yeah.
man. What a fun experience that must be too. Interesting. Okay, great, great.
Yeah.
Well, Frank, thank you so much. Man, this last couple hours has just flown by. I really appreciate you sitting down. I was even surprised that I was able to schedule. I figured with a top 25 and everything that your schedule has probably filled up quite a bit, and I know it has. So for you to make time for me is really means a lot, Frank. It really does. And I know it's late on a Sunday. We've talked about family tonight. You know, you're
No,
taking time away from your family, and it really means a lot to me. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
I'm incredibly grateful for this opportunity and thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, for everyone out there, we really do appreciate you guys listening and staying up late with us as always. This was a really fantastic conversation with Frank Cossio III, and we really appreciate everyone out there. All your likes, shares, and comments, please keep them coming. You can always check out our YouTube channel, Elos Fumar, and check out our videos there. Of course, we broadcast live from Facebook every Sunday night at 9:30 Central. Got some great shows coming up over the next couple of weeks. Check out my last week's episode. It was my top 10 cigars of of 2023, and of course, Luciano Cigars. Maria Lucia was my number 2 cigar of the year for 2023, a well deserving honor for an amazing cigar. And I really do appreciate Frank for stopping by. If you are tuning in later via podcast, where you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts, be sure you download, subscribe, and review. If you are a subscriber, do me a favor, hit unsubscribe, but don't forget to hit resubscribe because that really helps my numbers actually. And it allows me to get great guests like Frank whenever I want. In fact, that's what Frank asked about when he's like, "Hey, what are your numbers like?" No, he didn't, not at all. He did not. But it allows me to get great guests like Frank whenever I want, and I really do appreciate all the guests that we have on. And this is Frank's first appearance, and I know it won't be his last on this show. I do really appreciate your time, Frank. Thank you so much again for this. This was a great conversation, and I look forward to your future success. You and Mike and Luciano and the whole team at Luciano Cigars with Foreign Affair. We'll see what the next chapter comes. You're going to be at PCA coming up here in March?
Yes, I will.
Fantastic.
You as well?
I will be there. I
Awesome.
will see you. And hopefully we'll have another great interview at your booth like we did this past year. So looking forward to it. Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. This was our 277th take. Can't believe I've done 277 of these. It's crazy. Crazy to think about. But this was our 277th take live from the Alec Bradley Lone Star studio of Azle, Texas. He's Frank Cossio. I'm Barry Duplessis. Guess what, everybody? We'll see you next time.
Thank you.